Now we're going to go out with the squash fan, but before we have this run I'm putting on some new shocks. So this is what we've got. I bought some JKRC off eBay and they were about £25 for a set of 4, but I found out you can buy them direct just that little bit cheaper, so I might do that next time if these prove out okay. There's not one bad negative thing said about the shocks from what I can tell, but there's very little damping, so we'll have to see on that. But size wise these are for the WTO1, not for the GF02, which would be the same as sort of the WRs. And if you look, the shock goes out to the second hole because they are longer. But what I'll do is I'll get one off and I can show you properly. But I think I wasn't going to, but before going out I think I will replace the oil and I'll show you why. There we go, you can see the different in length, and you have to put on one more hole further out, which is perfectly fine, but that should improve handling, having a slightly steeper angle on the shock. But here's the problem. You can see there's very little damping, and I will show you why. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. But there's very little oil in it. And if you push it to the top, it's just about the piston. That's like, admittedly, working it out, it's quite a deep bladder, so you wouldn't want to fill it all the way to the top, but definitely that oil has got no go. So I'm going to give them a good drain, and I'll use some Tamiya yellow. I've got plenty of that from building kits over the years. So let's dry them out and change one and see how much difference we get. But yeah, they're good, but the thing is, I don't know what the oil is, but it's really, really thin. Here's next up, we'll put it in a dish. There we go. Well, it's not bad, but it just seems like it doesn't got enough damping. You know, there's literally nothing. So I want a bit thicker. See, otherwise I can't knock them. The bodies seem really good. You know what I'm saying? So we'll fill them up and see what they feel like with the Tamiya oil. Well, I've done the first one with a good level and it's just given a little bit more damping, but I think I could go thicker with the oil in these a little bit, because the GF02 is not a light truck, but that is definitely now got a little bit of damping. I think it was a lack of oil to what I would normally feel. So I'll get them done and get them on. It took a bit of adjusting, but there's a return on the shock now, so I'm pleased with that. We'll see if they start leaking because they're under a lot more pressure. Well, I don't think so, but I think part of the trouble was the oil wasn't bad, but it's about the same as what I put in. You know what I'm saying? But it was literally down to, I think, more like it wasn't quite enough in the shock to make them work properly. But now we've got 4 nice shocks to put back on. It seems to sit nice, but it's still a bit bouncy on the front. But it's still better than what it was. I think a bit more oil tuning might be required, because the way these shocks are, the dampening in them is not a high damp. So I think you could probably push them a bit thicker with the oil. Maybe a 55 might be good in it. But we're going out with this. well, once I get the rears on. Here we are with the new shock absorbers. We're going to test them out at the skate park. It's not going to be a great run because I realised my tyres are slipping. So I forgot to give them a little dab of glue to on the inner rim. That's sort of as much as I use just to stop the spin. But we'll give it a good go here. Well, I have to say, with the Tamiya oil, I'm pretty pleased with how this is tuned. There is a couple of things I've got to sort. As like I said, the tyres, they are slipping totally. If I show you how much, if I just hold the rim, I hold the drive shaft. No, it's not doing it now, but they're slipping really badly under power. So I will glue them on for another run. Well, I'll give the tyres a wash first, clean them so they will glue on better, and I'll tack them on. But these are not the greatest tyres in the world. These are hard, so I don't know whether to try on the tyres from the what was it, the HPI ones I've got. They're a little bit better. But what I might try is also try some oil on these to soften them next time before going out. Try the old WD-40, but then not until they're glued, because the thing is, I think what it is, I'm losing power where it's just spinning at times and causing it to twist. But like I said, I'm happy with the shocks, but they needed the Tamiya oil a little bit thicker, and they needed just that bit more in them, so there was just that bit of rebound, so they're actually shocking. The only other thing I've got to do is I want to space out the bottom of the shock a little bit, but I didn't have any screws the right length, so I'm using theirs. So I'll put a space behind with a longer screw and bring it out a little bit, so it's more a straight angle to the top, because the top are in a different position. As you know, I run mine off with the wider suspension. But it's a successful first run with them, and I'm pleased. But I wish it weren't so cold. It's a really bitter day.